Hello again, everyone, and welcome back to part 2 of our spinal anatomy masterclass. If you are just joining us, I am so glad you are here. In part 1, we stripped the spine down to its internal architecture, its vascular endplates, and its neural windows. Now, we are going to look at how this entire column connects and functions as a dynamic kinematic chain. As physiotherapists, we cannot analyze a single movement in the clinic without looking at the structures that govern, guide, and restrain it. Every single movement of the spine is a delicate balance between the arthrokinematics of the facet joints and the passive tension of the ligamentous system. Let's look at the facet joints first. As we established, their spatial orientation acts as a mechanical guide rail for movement. In the cervical spine, the joints are inclined at roughly a 45°-circ angle. This unique plane allows for a high degree of coupled motion, meaning whenever you laterally flex your neck to the right, the cervical vertebrae automatically and naturally rotate to the right as well. You cannot get one without the other. In the lumbar spine, the facets transition into a nearly vertical sagittal plane. Because these joint surfaces face each other like interlocking walls, they act as a massive mechanical block against rotation. This protects the lumbar discs from severe torsional shear stress, which is highly destructive to collagen fibers. But what stops the spine from simply collapsing at the end of these ranges? That is the job of our passive ligamentous network, which acts as strategic tension bands. Running down the entire front of the vertebral bodies is the anterior longitudinal ligament ALL. It is incredibly thick and is the only ligament in the entire spine designed specifically to stretch and tauten during extension, preventing hyperextension injuries like whiplash. Conversely, running inside the spinal canal along the back of the vertebral bodies is the posterior longitudinal ligament PLL. It becomes taut during flexion. Connecting the laminae of adjacent vertebrae on the inside of the canal is the ligamentum flavum. This ligament is completely unique because it contains a massive amount of yellow elastic fibers. This high elasticity does two brilliant things. It exerts a continuous, resting compressive force on the discs known as intradiscal pre-stress, which keeps them stable, and it stores elastic energy when you bend forward, snapping you back upright like a rubber band without exhausting your spinal muscles. Finally, we have the interspinous and supraspinous ligaments, which line the very tips of the spinous processes. These are your final line of defense against hyperflexion. When you treat a patient with a flexion distraction injury or a ligamentous sprain, you are looking at a failure of this passive tension system. By combining the internal architecture from part 1 with the facet guide rails and ligamentous bands of part 2, you now have the complete anatomical toolkit to master clinical biomechanics. Thank you for tuning in, practice your palpation, and I will see you in the next masterclass. Thank you.